Dragon Quest II HD2D Remake, it's the most recent iteration of the game of the same name, Dragon Quest II, or as it was known back then in the original localization, Dragon Warrior 2. I played it, it's great, and it made Dragon Quest II go from my second least favorite mainline Dragon Quest game to probably my second or third favorite now. I'm still debating whether if it's this Dragon Quest or Dragon Quest XI. Oh, and if you're wondering, my least favorite is OG Dragon Quest 7, and my favorite being Dragon Quest 8. And by the way, just because I say a game is my least favorite on a franchise that has over 10 games, doesn't mean I disliked it or I hate it. It just means, out of all those games, it's the one that I enjoy a little bit less than the others. Okay, maybe not a little, but I hope you get what I mean. So yeah, as I previously said, I think it's great. If you're into RPGs, I wholeheartedly recommend it. So I guess that's it. Thanks for watching. Wait. Keep watching. Now, what is Dragon Quest II? Well, the original, as I mentioned before, Dragon Quest II came out in 1987 back on the NES, and it got released in the West as Dragon Warrior 2 in 1990. The game serves as a direct sequel to the first Dragon Quest, taking place in the same world but around 100 years later. And it improves basically on everything that Dragon Quest 1 did. But to be fair, Dragon Quest 1 being as basic as it was, it meant that there was a tons of room for improvement. If you want to know what I mean about calling it basic, you can watch my other video in which I talk about the remake of Dragon Quest 1. I'll link it over there. I don't know, I'll link it somewhere in the video or in the description down below. So yeah, being that Dragon Quest 1 was as simple as it was, it meant that it served as a great foundation for Dragon Quest 2 to build itself upon. The first Dragon Quest was a solo journey, which meant there was only one character that you could use throughout the entire game. But by the time the sequel was released, they invented party members. Now, the way they explain it here is that the main characters that you use are descendants of that hero from the first Dragon Quest. So at the end of the first Dragon Quest game, the hero and the princess decided to go and explore new lands, and while doing that, they founded a new kingdom of their own. They called it Middenhall. Now, they had multiple children. The eldest child inherited Middenhall. Meanwhile, the other two children decided to also go about their way, explore new lands, and build a kingdom of their own. I believe the middle child built the kingdom of Cannock, and the youngest child built the kingdom of Moonbrook. Now, each of the characters that are playable then are the newest princes and princesses of these kingdoms. Something that's good about this remake, speaking of the characters, is that they added a fourth playable party member, but more on that later. Anyway, so what happens with these royal princes and princesses that they decide to go on a journey and do the Dragon Quest thing? Well, one day the kingdom of Moonbrook is attacked by monsters. The kingdom is completely destroyed, but before all is lost, the king of Moonbrook saves his daughter. Now, one of the survivors arrives at the Middenhall castle, where we meet the main prince, and informs the kingdom of what happens. Now, the king of Middenhall instructs his son to go ahead and check if what the soldier says is true and assess how much damage it is, because apparently they've been hearing things about how these demon, monster, lord could ravage the land in the future, but they don't know for certain if that is the danger they've been waiting for. And also, he sends the prince on his own instead of sending any soldiers because he doesn't want to cause panic to the people by sending an army over there, and instead wants to reinforce his own castle, his own city, you know, because protection or something. And I guess the prince is supposed to be strong enough to be able to do this because, hey, you're royalty, you have the blood of the hero, prove it, do your thing. Now, before we head out to Moonbrook though, the king instructs his son, the Prince of Middenhall, to go to Cannock and let them know about what's going on, and probably enlist the help of one of the Prince of Cannock. So we have our second party member there. Well, sort of, because we go to the kingdom of Cannock, but unfortunately our prince seems to be in another castle. We eventually find him, he eventually joins us. The two cousins go into the city of Moonbrook. There's a situation to see that everything is destroyed. They don't find no one there, they just find destruction, but they suddenly hear a voice, because they also hear voices sometimes. It's a family thing. Again, More things from the first Dragon Quest seeping into this one. It tells them to go to a shrine to get something there. They find a magic mirror, and then they go to another town that's nearby Moonbrook. Oh yeah, conveniently, they also have this family heirloom that glows whenever someone from the hero's bloodline is nearby. So when they get to this town, they see that thing glowing, and there's like, oh, wait, somebody's here, let's look it up. But what they find instead of a princess is a dog. Thankfully, they have that mirror that they got from listening to that mysterious voice. The mirror allows them to break any curse or spell, and the dog is revealed to be the princess. I know her father was the one who cursed her into a dog, and it was obviously to save her, but at the same time, it's like, I guess those demons also have some sort of code, because they would destroy an entire city, destroy any human on side, but I guess they let go of animals. They're villains, but they're not that kind of villain that will like go for pets. I guess they saw John Wick. A bit of a funny thing that happens after she turns back into a human is that if you look at the skills that she has, they are all related to things that a dog can do, like dig, nose for treasure, and Call of the Wild. Now that the three cousins are together, we have the party that we're gonna be using for probably half of the game. I know I mentioned before there's a new 4-party member they added here, but more on that later. Anyways, now that we have a team, we report back to both the Kingdom of Mendenhall and Cannock, and then they tell us about this dude named Hargon, who is apparently the evil that's threatening the land. And the princes are instructed to go on a journey to stop him, because they are the descendants of the hero of old. So that's kind of part of the whole thing about this game. It's about legacy. And each of these characters, I feel like, is struggle with something regarding their personalities and also that legacy. Like, they all have to live up to these expectations of then being the descendants of the mighty hero Erdrick that saved the world way back when on Dragon Quest I. And that's even shown in what I call the main prince, the Prince of Mendenhall. And I do that because he clearly is meant to be the main character, due to the fact that he's a silent protagonist. Meanwhile, his cousins can talk and speak and go through a lot of more growth because of that. I feel like it's something I have about silent protagonists, and it's more of a me thing when it comes to that, is that they barely get any development, and even if they do, you barely feel like it's earned because they don't talk. It would be better if there was some dialogue choices that allow you to mold their personalities, but it's even worse in my opinion when they don't have a personality of their own. Everybody else speaks in behalf of them, so it's like we're hearing from them from other people and not from themselves, and we don't have the choice, because there's no multiple choices, to build a personality for them. Anyways, we do know he's struggling with something. Out of all the princes, he's the only one that cannot use magic. That's a thing because of the hero line. The hero could use magic and his cousins can, but he's the only one that is just purely physical. He's super strong physically, but no magic whatsoever. And apparently that is something that we're told that he struggles with and has some self-worth issues because of that. But again, because he's a silent protagonist, we don't hear that from him. That's something that somebody else tells us about him. Meanwhile, speaking of the other princes, the Prince of Cannock, he is a very aloof character. He is a bit of a himbo, and technically he's an all-rounder. He's not the best magically, he's not the strongest physically, but he can do both. Meanwhile, the Princess of Moonbrook, it's mostly our magic character, who's very book smart, knows a lot of his spells, and I think her arc is the one I like the best. Her is about revenge. She just saw how her whole kingdom was destroyed, so she has to grab with like wanting revenge, but not letting that revenge consume her. We'll get more on that later. So now they're going to start their journey, and in true Dragon Quest fashion, they have to go to different locations. Every time they go to a new town, there's going to be some problem happening on that town, and because they're the heroes, they're going to solve it. Like, one of them is when they go to a town where the monsters are not like just simply attacking the citizens. They see that the town is missing like over half of its population, and it's because these people who are supposed to be like a nun and a priest have come in with their religion and have brainwashed the citizens to go to a cliff. Thankfully, as I said, the heroes are there, so they go to that cliff to save them. We see that these priests and nun are actually monsters who are trying to use them as a sacrifice. Anyways, the heroes stop them, and as a reward, the town gives them a boat. So now we have a means to travel by sea. And this is where the game starts opening up a little bit. So to explore the world we go. The first thing they do is go to the kingdom of Tantagel, which is the kingdom of Dragon Quest 1. Seeing how it's related to their ancestor, they inform the king of Tantagel about what happened with Hargon, and he's like, well, if you want to know more information about monsters and like monster demon lords and whatnot, why don't you take a look at the castle of the Dragon Lord from ancient times, the one that your ancestor defeated in Dragon Quest 1. They're like, okay, the princes go there, and then they meet the Dragon Lord, or well, the great grandson of the Dragon Lord, because Dragon Lord died at the end of Dragon Quest 1. Spoilers, I guess. Oops. And something that they do that is very interesting, and again, this is what I mean about like the character growth and also this game building on the foundation of Dragon Quest 1. They actually give him some personality. Like the great grandson of the Dragon Lord, it's not evil. He's like, yeah, some monsters from Hargon were here and they were like, hey, you want to join Hargon? But he's like, no, I don't want to do evil. I'm okay living here in this castle that I inherited from my great-grandfather. At first, the prince don't believe him. It's like, what do you mean you're not evil? But your great-grandfather was. And that's like, yeah, that was my great-grandfather. That's not me. Just because my great-grandfather was an evil monster doesn't mean I have to be an evil monster. And I feel like that's a nice distinction. I know some people don't like it when like, oh, monsters are good. I guess it just shows that just because you're born different doesn't mean you're evil. I feel like evil is taught, not inherited. Now, the great-grandson of the Dragon Lord actually gives him some advice about how to deal with Hargon. He says that they were looking for some sigils, but he doesn't elaborate about what the sigils are because it's not up to him to talk about them. That is when, coincidentally, we hear some voices, and it seems to be from some fairies that are being attacked and are in danger. And he says, hey, do you know who can help you about getting more information about Hargon and the sigils? Well, the fairies, so go ahead. Something funny is that the great-grandson of Dragon Lord was like, hey, I can actually help the fairies and deal with those monsters. The problem is, my power is so great that I must just destroy the entire area where they're at. And I don't think they want me to help them destroy the monsters that are attacking them by also destroying the fairies in their home. So why don't you guys do it? Anyways, we go to the fairies, and the fairies are like, yay, thank you for saving us. So you guys are the descendants of the hero Erdrick. Good for you. Now we need you to go and gather the sigils so you can stop Hargon. We'll let you know later what the sigils are about. I'm like, okay. I guess, you know, one of those things like, we'll reveal it in due time. Anyways, thankfully, one of the few advantages of having a remaster of a game is that the map tells you exactly where to go next to find the sigils. So that actually means that you can go to different areas, and it's up to you to choose like which one would you go and gather first. The first one I went to was this tower in which there was some old man telling us he was the guardian of the tower, and that he knew about the sigil. So he was like, I'm gonna take you there where the sigil is so you guys can get it because you guys were descendants of the hero, blah blah blah. Lo and behold, at the end of the day, it was a trap. He wasn't really a guardian, he was a monster that wanted us to clear the way so he can get the sigil for himself. So we beat him, and then we get the star sigil. Okay, after that, I went to a town that's located very close to where Hargon is, but this town has been attacked by monsters. And something they're doing is that they are hiding underground because of the monster danger. And here we have one of my favorite parts of the game. Because of the danger of the monsters and they are hiding, they cannot just go outside because they will be attacked immediately if they go out. So they're very careful about that. And this town already has a lot of people that are injured. But now that the heroes have arrived, the two leaders of the town are discussing what to do next. One of them is like, hey, we have the descendants of Erdrick here. We have the scions of the heroes. So let's go ahead and like beat them once and for all. Meanwhile, the other is like, we need to be careful about this because we already have people injured. If we go all out and we don't beat them, then that's it for the town. I don't think we should risk it. We should be more careful. And he goes into a discussion about like, maybe we should negotiate with monsters. But the Princess of Moonbrook is like, negotiate with who? The ones who destroy my kingdom? You think we can talk to them? Meanwhile, the Prince of Cannock is like, maybe we should. Maybe that's a thing we should consider. Before we can reach a proper conclusion to that discussion, we get information that someone is being attacked. So the heroes rush to their aid. Here we battle a monster that's been attacking them. After we beat them, there's another monster left, but this one begs for its life. They're like, please, please don't kill me. I didn't want to do this. I was just doing what I was told because if I don't, then I will die myself. And I never wanted to kill anybody. And rightfully so, the Princess of Moonbrook is angry. It's like, oh, you beg for your forgiveness? You never forgave any human. You destroyed my kingdom. And that little creature monster is like, you know, you're right. Even though I didn't want to participate in these monster raids and whatnot, I stood by and watched it happen. I deserve to be punished. At the end, they sort of forgive him and they put him in a dungeon. The reason why I like this is because we see how the princess is consumed by revenge, but at the sight of a demon or a monster that it's like actually having emotions, human-like emotions, it does help her grow as a character because she sees that revenge is not the only answer. She was using revenge in the guise of justice, and justice and revenge is not the same thing. But yeah, this scene really caught me by surprise. I was not expecting those kind of like levels of conversation for this game, so props to them. Anyways, after saving them, they reward us with the fire sigil. Next on our journey, we went to the town of Baron, and if you didn't know the pattern by now, it's also being attacked by monsters. We defeat the monsters that's attacking the town, but before he dies, he breathes this cursed fog onto the Prince of Cannock. And unfortunately, that takes him down. So now we have one less body member. And now the Prince of Midenhall and the Princess of Moonbrook must find a remedy to cure him. They don't know what they need to do to cure him, so they leave the Prince of Cannock in the hands of some priests from that town while they go back to the town of Cannock to let the king and queen know that their son is currently in a magic curse-induced coma. They do tell the heroes about this legend that they've heard about the Yggdrasil, a world sacred tree that is able to cure any illness. The problem is that they don't know where the tree is. At this time, the Cannock's prince sister, Princess Matilda, hears what happened to her brother and sets out on her own to find info about this tree. We meet her back at Baron, where her brother is resting, all cursed and all, and the priest that's been taking care of the prince tells us that he knows where Yggdrasil is. The Princess of Cannock joins us, and that makes a new fourth party member. They go to that secret island with the magical tree, they get the leaf, and then go back to heal the prince. One cool thing though about killing the prince from the curse is that he can no longer be cursed by anything. Something the game doesn't really tell you, but something that you can do now, it's equipped any cursed items onto him, any cursed equipment, armor, weapon, etc., and he won't be affected by the negative effects of the curse. So good for him. Now with our 4 party members, we go and get the next sigil. Next, we go to the Isle of Zahan, and as is customary, they also have monster problems. So their issue is that the fishermen of the isle seem to be missing, and they believe that mermaids are to blame. So the heroes goes out into the sea where they were supposed to be doing the fishing, and encounter here some merman monsters. They beat them and end up ashore on a very small reef. Here they meet actual mermaids, who for some reason speak in rhymes at all times.
I didn't introduce my friend. This here is Ellie Pooh. Oh, sorry, that's just for her besties. It's Elaine to you. We're usually quite careful to keep out of monsters' sight, but staying hidden when someone's in danger isn't right.
These mermaids were the ones who actually saved the fisherman, and let us know, like, hey, we already got them back to their island. We go back to Seihan and we see that the fishermen are back, and as a reward for taking care of the monsters, they give us this pearl that apparently one of their ancestors got from a mermaid. More on that pearl later. Until our next location. This time we go to the kingdom of Durkendor, a place that puts a lot of value on strength. The king of this place also has one of the sigils, but before he can give it to the party, he wants to see how strong they are. And this is how we get our mandatory tournament arc. After we beat a gauntlet of monsters, the king then gives them the moon sigil. Before they can continue their journey for the sigils, they get this psychic message from the fairies telling them like, hey, we're in danger again, we need saving again. So the heroes go ahead and save them again. But the monster that's attacking them this time, it's one of Hargon's 4 generals, Belial. We beat him, but Belial tells us like, hey, I just wanted to test your strength. The reason for testing the strength, more on that later. I know, there's a lot of foreshadowing and a lot of things they planned that will get a payoff later on. Anyways, before he leaves though, he tells us that the mermaids are currently being attacked by another of Hargon's general. So now with the fairies okay, they give us this little gizmo that allows the party to go underwater so we can go to the mermaids and rescue them. They are being attacked by Mariella, one of Hargon's 4 generals too. But she flees, we don't even fight her, she just like runs away, and we rescue the mermaids and their queen. After both the mermaids and fairies are okay, we go back to the fairies and they explain what the sigils are for. Apparently they are needed to wake up Lady Rubis, the goddess that created the world, and her aid is needed in order to defeat Hargon and restore peace to the realm. So that's why the monsters are looking for those sigils to stop that from happening. Another cool thing about the sigils though is not just a MacGuffin you're supposed to look for, it also gives the party a little bit of a boost. Like each sigil gives them a different effect. Like one of them increases their max HP, another one gives them more items, another one allows them to use stronger abilities if they meet certain conditions. And something they noticed by this interaction with Melayo and Mariella is that even though they're generals that are supposed to answer to Hargon, they are very much divided. They learn that they are very much like into their doing their own thing unless Hargon said so. And I guess Hargon is not exactly the best commander ever because they just do whatever they want. And they're not afraid to stab each other in the back. Meanwhile, the hero sees this as an opportunity because they are now building bridges with the mermaids, the fairies, and then different kingdoms throughout the world. So they're uniting the world, meanwhile the demons are completely divided. Anyways, they go to the next sigil, which is with Mariella. They beat her and get the soul sigil. And she runs away because, you know, reasons I guess. Now the next sigil is on a deserted village and it's in the hand of some monsters. When the prince's party arrive, they see that the monsters are about to beat a man. So they beat the monsters instead. And in that kerfuffle, the guy who we just saved steals the sigil and flees. We follow that thief and we see that he is handing it over to another monster. We beat that monster too, and we learn that the thief only stole it because the monster promised to cure his sister who is suffering from some incurable illness. Thankfully, the party still has some leftover Yggdrasil leaf that they use to heal the Prince of Cannock. So they use that leftover Yggdrasil leaf to cure the sister of the thief, and they get the water sigil. Now that they have all the sigils, they go back to the fairies, and the fairies tells them they need something else to wake up Rubis. There's always something more to fetch. At this point, this game is more fetch quest than Dragon Quest. Anyways, not only that, the fairies also pose a very fair question. How do you plan to reach him? The reason why Hargon has not been defeated is because he delegates things to his generals, while he himself is safe in the ruins of an isolated kingdom. Now, who could we get some intel from to reach the lair of the monsters? Well, a monster, of course. So they pay a visit to the monster that we met a while ago, the one who was like, I don't want to kill humans and stuff like that. He's gonna live in that town's dungeon by his own volition, because people already forgave him and he's free to do whatever he wants. But he actually likes the place, so he made that dungeon his home. He decides to help us and go scout the entrance for the prince, but in return he asks for a small favor. And not for himself, but for another person that stumbled upon the town and is in need of help. Aww, how adorable of him to think about others. So this guy says that monster also happened upon this town, just like every other town in the game. The party goes to the town of Isluz, where they notice that the people are a little peculiar. So what's been happening here is that the monsters of this town have regressed the mental age of the citizens to that of children. Because apparently it's a lot easier to turn children evil because they're more malleable. Okay game, I did not see you going there, but you did it. You went there. Anyways, we beat the monster, but the crystal that he used to change the people got taken by another. Then we return to our friendly monster, who now goes by the name of Elmu. He found a teleportal in Hargon's domain that we could use to reach him. So now we have a way to go to Hargon. The problem is, because there's always a problem, there's this sealed cave that the heroes need to go through in order to get to Hargon, and in true Dragon Fetch Quest fashion, they need to get another item. This item is in the hands of Pazuzu, another of Hargon's demon generals, who coincidentally also has a crystal that cures the townspeople of his loose. So they go to Pazuzu to solve those two issues at once. We beat this banana-loving wannabe Donkey Kong and get the townspeople of his loose free, while having a way to go to Hargon. Oh yeah, and he also flees, because the demon generals, they all flee. Now our next order of business is to awaken the goddess. But to do that, they need to reach where the goddess is asleep. And for that, the heroes need to go even deeper into the ocean. In order to make that happen, we need to go back to the Mermaid Queen. And this is where the pearl that we got from the fisherman way back when comes into play. We go to the Mermaid Queen, but then she tells us that she lost the pearl. How did that happen? There's some backstory about her falling in love with a human way back when, but then she overheard the human talking to his dad about how he found mermaids and they can use them for profit and stuff like that, and she was heartbroken. But then we find out that he actually regretted saying anything to his dad about the mermaids, because yes, at the start it was all because he wanted to use her, but he actually fell in love with her. And when they were on their way to the mermaids, he actually sank the ship with everybody there, his dad, the entire crew, that were gonna use the mermaids for their own selfish purposes. We go to that sunken ship, get the second pearl, and now we can go to where the goddess is sleeping. But as always, it's not that easy. This time, when we reach the place and try to awaken the goddess, the last of the four generals, Atlas, appears and attacks us feet first. And rinse and repeat, just like it happened to other generals. We beat him, but he escapes. Anyways, we revive the goddess. The goddess is like, yay, I'm back. I can help you all. Woohoo. Now you can go and defeat Hargon. With my support, you guys can do it. And so they go to Hargon's place and go to a teleporter. Now, a very sad thing that happens, and I hate that this happens, when we go to the teleporter and we see Elmu, a little friendly monster, fighting a giant manticore-like creature. And he actually beats it. But unfortunately, he got wounded in the battle and he dies shortly after. Justice for Elmu. He should have been a fifth party member, maybe not even playable, just like a little, you know how there's like a pet-ish, you know, there's no like, there's an NPC-ish kind of party member. He should have been that. He should have been the fifth one helping us out, because all he wanted to do was help the heroes, and he died doing it. That also, I feel like, concludes the Princess of Moonbrook arc, because she generally felt sad when he died, and she didn't think she was capable of feeling like that for a monster. So I feel like it helped her wake up to the idea that justice and revenge are not the same thing. Now her head is more clear about who the enemy is and who she needs to defeat, and focus on Hargon and not just blindly rage at every single monster that she sees. Anyways, they open the cave and they go through it, and here we meet Belial again, who finally reveals why he didn't kill the heroes back then. So apparently all of the demon generals besides Mariella are from different worlds. Hargon basically isekai'd them, and they have to do his bidding if they want to return. But of course, he doesn't believe that Hargon will actually let them go back. So instead, he wants the heroes to help him defeat Hargon. And he even offers like the choice of, hey, you want to join me? You want to help me out and I'll help you out? I choose not to, because yes, he's here not of his own will. He's still doing all of the atrocities in Hargon's name. Like, he was the demon that actually went to Moonbrook and destroyed that kingdom. So I don't trust him. I don't know. I don't trust his ass. How would you choose? What did you choose? Oh, and yeah, he escapes again. We finally go to Hargon's castle, and this is what they've been saving the generals for. Like, every time we battle them, they escape. This is where we finally get the final showdown with each of the four generals, and my least favorite thing to do at the end of a game. A boss rush. I feel like boss rush is okay only in Mega Man. I feel like boss rush is okay only in Mega Man. I just don't like boss rush in RPGs, for the reason that, hey, I just beat these guys already. Why do I have to battle them again? It feels like padding. Most of the times they put boss rush, I don't think the padding for it is warranted. there is not enough change to these monsters to justify battling them again. After beating the 4 generals, it's time to confront Hargon. And after we beat him, he does something that I also am very iffy about in JRPGs. I'm okay with final bosses having 2nd or 3rd forms, but he instead summons another monster that serves as the final boss. You know, those out of nowhere, like, hey, where did you come from? Although, to be fair, they have a lich that he wanted to revive someone, and that's why he's been doing the evil things, so it's not as out of left field as other games have done. I'm sure you know which games I'm talking about. But yeah, we defeat this guy named Malbroth, and then the world is saved. Each of the princes go back to their respective kingdoms to do their princely duties, I guess. Or so the game would have you believe, because that is not the true ending. Now, another thing that the fairies have told you to do, and it seems like it's optional at first, but it's something you have to do if you want to unlock the true ending of the game. It's finding these memories that they have recorded across time, but they somehow lost it during the demon attack. And if you find them and return them back to the fairies, they tell you about this Sphere of Light, another one of those Dragon Quest I reference/relics. So they go to this cave where it's been sealed away. They go through 30 floors, yes, 30 floors of dungeon to get this item. So the deal with the Sphere of Light is that it originally belonged to the dragons, and now we have the Dragon Lord, or well, the great grandson of the Dragon Lord. So we return it to him because he's the only good dragon that we know of, and that allows him to tap into his true dragon powers and decide to test that power onto the party. At first I thought he was gonna be like a secret evil character, but no, he just wanted to flex how strong he is now that he has his Sphere of Light with him. He then uses his newfound Dragon Lord powers to enhance the sword and shield of the hero Erdrick, and now with his new equipment in hand, we beat Hargon yet again, and then Malbroth yet again, but now that these new conditions have been met, we meet a 3rd final boss. This one is kind of cool, kind of epic, the way this battle is portrayed, because it has this amazing cutscene with the characters being like in terrible danger, and then they are rescued by this big bird, and we have the final battle on top of this giant bird. And this final boss is this monstrous, gigantic entity full of darkness. Like, it's like a balloon full of darkness. Like, when you beat him, you can see it's like a balloon popping, and darkness seeps out, and then he explodes. Anyways, we beat him, and then we see a little bit of the backstory about how this monster came to be. Apparently, it's been chasing the heroes, not just from this game, but also from Dragon Quest III and Dragon Quest I. And yeah, Dragon Quest III is a prequel to Dragon Quest 1 and 2, which is why 3 goes first into, like, since when this shadow has been going on around. Spoilers, I guess, for an almost 4-year-old plot twist. Anyways, after all this, they go back to their respective kingdoms, and you would think they would do their princely duties, but not this time. This is a new ending. They get together to go on another journey. The giant bird picks them up and transport them into another world. The first city they visit in this world is the kingdom of Alyahan, which is the kingdom where Dragon Quest III started. So in a nice poetic way, the game ends where chronologically the story begins. Kind of a full circle moment for the series, or for this trilogy. So yeah, that was Dragon Quest II HD 2D Remake. Have you played this game? Do you plan to play this game? What do you think about it? Let me know. So yeah, that was Dragon Quest II HD 2D Remake. And as I previously mentioned, I think now it's one of my favorite Dragon Quest games. It did a lot to revamp the game into a more modern standard. Not only that, but also I like the inclusions and additions that they've done to the story. Like, all the characters got some fair amount of character development, especially the Princess of Moonbrook. And I also like the aspect of even the villains getting some sort of development here, with like some of the villains being isekai'd into this world. And I like the way that they showed a different type of evils. Like, I found that every time we went to a new town to solve a problem, the villains somehow found a unique way to cause issues. Like, not all of them were doing the same thing, like just pure destruction. We had the way they use religion to brainwash people, also how they regress the mental age of people in order to be more easily manipulated. And not only that monsters were shown as villains, there was also the instance of humans doing horrible things, like the fishermen who wanted to use the mermaids for their own purposes. And again, that was Dragon Quest II HD to the remake. It has a hero journey, it has fairies, it has tournament arc, it has monsters, it has a lot of fetch quests, it has villains that you love to hate, it has villains that you love to love. Let me know what you think of Dragon Quest II HD 2D Remake. Thank you guys for watching, and remember to do the things of like, subscribe, comment, and until next time, bye!